All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm may sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you've reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles. That said, you had the minutes in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from the meeting of February 23rd? There are none. Do I have a motion to approve? Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We have a site plan review. Director Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a pretty straightforward request, and actually is a result of a building permit application that we got back in 2015, late 2015. This board approved a fairly large addition and expansion to the Reagan Steel site, and they actually just finished up that construction, and through that process, meeting with the building inspector and so on, the applicant decided to move some of their mechanical equipment outside into a shed, I think an air compressor and maybe some other things. So with that, they applied for a building permit. It is only 480 square feet, and it's just a simple, almost little lean-to addition on the side. But regardless of the size of it, it does just the same as the big one. The big expansion, it is expansion of a non-conforming use because this is in the suburbanizing district and falls under those sections of our code. Just a bit of analysis there. There does appear to be a reasonable amount of space. It's on a 4+ acre tract, and it does meet all applicable setback standards. So environmental health and stormwater have already reviewed it and have signed off on the building permit, so we're just waiting for site plan approval from this body.
Thank you. Any discussion, any questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. If there's no further comments or questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Site plan is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Final plat for Sparks Cabin Sites off of Christie Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 5 lots and 1 existing tract, the Lane property, to be served by a private easement. I would just like to remind the Planning Commission that the preliminary plat was originally approved in March of 2010 for 24 months, and then it was renewed every year up until March of 2016. So the plat is still current. They're asking for final plat at this point, and I'm just going to read some of this. It's the preliminary plat was approved with the following items to be completed: variance consideration to allow for the 5 Sparks lots in the Lane property to be divided off the common driveway easement. You guys granted that variance a long time ago. Copy of a maintenance agreement. I'm going to skip the next 2. A pre-construction meeting, we had that recently. Confirmation by Mr. Lane that he concurs with the division, and he did that back in 2010. And then add an access easement for the common area. If you'll go down to the bottom of page 2, the outstanding items to be completed are as follows: completion of the paving of the common driveway entrance. I can report to you that Mr. Sparks did that, and he's done a very good job. It looks great. Number 2 and 3 are the same as above. These 2 items I'll just take together. They're just legal documents, and I have communicated with the person preparing those. And since they have to go back and forth with the lawyer for Laurel Valley, which is Kaiser Black, I believe, it's going to just take a little while, and I will review them all before they're finalized. So that's one of the outstanding items to be completed, is those items 2 and 3. You can list them separately, Marlene. and then signature plats and a $40 per lot platting fee.
Any comments or questions? We've been looking at this annually for, yeah, for quite a while, so, yes.
I think I've mentioned this every time. If that existing roadbed is going to remain an access for the remaining land of Sparks, it needs to be an easement. I think I've mentioned it every time, but it's never shown up as that.
You don't remember that, Glenn?
Yeah, but I disagree with that.
It's just a road. He doesn't want it.
It's just for Sparks to get up there, who owns the rest of the property. It's not necessarily used to get to that site.
Well, he's crossing 3 private or 5 private tracks to get there.
Yeah, he is. The way you have it drawn now, he is. I understand your point, Bruce.
The access is off the Laurel Valley.
I understand, but you're showing an existing road across 5 new tracks that he can divide and sell tomorrow, and he'll be crossing their private property. So it does probably need an easement at least across those to the point where it gets to the common area, at least, I would think. They don't have to. If they buy into it with an easement, they'll be buying into it. If they,
The way it's standing now is not easy.
he would have to physically remove that drive then. It saves him a, huh?
I just removed the drive, because it's not used for the access to get to these cabin sites.
But it'll be crossing private property.
I'm sorry?
It crosses private property. Right now, Mr. Sparks owns it all. When he divides it and sells it, then he'll be crossing somebody else's property without an easement to be on their property. Is that correct, Bruce?
But he can access his property from Tuckleashy Road up to this point where what he owns.
If the road is there, my impression is somebody will use it. If there's not an easement across the lots that you're creating, then that,
Yeah, you don't have the right, it's not for anybody else to use.
you're still not understanding. As soon as he gets a final plat, these lots may not be his tomorrow, and he'll still be using that for his convenience.
Okay, I understand that.
Then he'll be trespassing on his daughter and the other family members that these properties belong to, unless there's an easement on the plat. So when they transfer it and go to get their deed made, that deed will reference an easement to the benefit of Mr. Sparks, so he can use his own driveway to cross their property.
But he doesn't want to use it, that's what I'm getting at.
Then he probably needs to remove it.
He has no, when they sell these sites, whoever does, he doesn't need to use that access road to get to the cabin sites anymore.
Then why are we showing it on the plat?
Because it exists.
Because it exists.
If Mr. Sparks sells the bill, sells his right. What Mr. Sparks sells the right to that person, they can use it.
No,
Well,
Now, we have definition.
somebody can block it, so nobody can use it.
So I mean, why can't whoever buys that one lot, they can put up a gate and he could use it, right? So it's their property.
It's their prerogative.
that's what he's talking
It's
about.
their
Egress
property.
easement across
Put one up on this side and one on the other side, and he can't.
this. No, that's a different part of the property. That's up here. That's a
What I'm saying is, when you see the road bed right under remaining land Spark, once it gets to that property line, Sparks has no interest in it.
Then okay, let me just mention a few things because I know the property pretty well. While he was building the driveway, everybody was using that to cross and get out. Nobody went on the Laurel Valley Road. I know just from the people that use it, that road is used a lot more than you think because of convenience. You can skip all of Laurel Valley if you simply take the gravel drive down past Tater's house. It's a long drive, but there's a convenience factor there. If you want to leave it on the plat, I would recommend, it's simple to do exactly what Bruce said, put a access easement on it. I don't think it has to be any standard size because it's not for the division of the property.
Right.
It could be less than we require. It would just be for convenience of access. Otherwise, they probably need to close the road if he doesn't intend to use it anymore.
No, he doesn't.
But, Mr. Chairman, it also needs to be an access for that reserve septic area, otherwise you don't have an access for that. It just needs to be an easement at least up to that common area.
I think that's accurate as well. because we discussed that before, and that was in the original write-up, that there's supposed to be an access easement on the plat to the reserve area.
Okay,
I
and
think that just protects everybody.
Okay, well, all right, let me just give Glenn the benefit of the doubt for a second. The detail is about the top of the property, not the bottom of the property. The detail is on the northern portion of the property, not the southern.
see where L19 is?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay.
Yes, I do now, okay.
It's right under the word egress, or ingress and egress. It says 15-foot access easement to joint septic easement. And then the joint septic easement attaches to the common area for additional reserve and septic system.
I do see that.
I'm sorry, Glenn, you've lost me.
So that's an easement below the cabins to cross each property.
That's correct.
I see it.
I see what you're saying. Have you looked at the actual constraints to using that for a vehicle versus the road bed?
I'm closer, I can't hear. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Get old, I can't hear, can't see anymore.
All right, you've got the access easement that Bruce is saying we need that's supposed to be on the plat between the two cabins.
That's correct.
Have you ever looked at the grade where it goes straight down the hill after the parking area? I don't know how you'd even get equipment down there. This would be a natural access easement to the common area, and the road's already there.
Well, I know, but it's steep. When you at the bank is too steep where this road is.
And the bank doesn't matter. The road bed, you can drive on the road bed.
No, but what I'm saying is to get to if you wanted to do any work on that site, you
would
couldn't
come
get
right
to
here.
it from that road.
The site's over here. That's a common area.
Okay. I mean, okay, I see what you're saying, but
I could access it here, across here. I apologize that we're negotiating this in
see,
the
that
meeting.
joint easement it goes all the way out to there. So, I mean, you could get to it that way. See, that dash line is actually the joint easement.
I'm going to defer to Bruce. If the driveway's there and someone has the potential to use it, there probably should be an easement. Is that,
That's the way I think it should be, yes. It would be some kind of easement along that existing road bed.
can you not just dot in an easement to the side of that driveway? We don't have a width requirement.
It don't have to be, as long
It
as
could be
it covers
12
the
feet
road
wide.
bed and
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. We'll get that on the plat for you.
Okay. Bruce, that satisfy you? Okay, any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the staff recommendation completion of items.
Okay, including marking the plat for the existing roadbed easement. Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
You ready for the miscellaneous item?
Miscellaneous items.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
This is the replat of Lot C, 14R, Little River Campsites off Carnes Road by Donnie Braden with variances requested. I think it'd help if you guys look at the plat. David Braden's here if we have any questions, but I'll try to keep it concise. The building was inadvertently placed over a property line. It required some variances, did it require anything from BZA originally or not?
So, if I may, the first, I sort of inherited this one, and the first sort of stab at it would be Mr. Lamb thought that maybe he could actually cut the part of the building off that's over the property line, because of course we can't approve construction on another piece of property, and then apply for a variance to the BZA for the balance of what would be required for a front yard setback. And Not that that wouldn't work, but when I inherited it, I sort of took a different tack, and I'm hesitant to recommend someone go through the variance proceedings because variance is truly reserved for hardship, and state law says that hardship can't be a result of something you did. So I'm not sure that we could have met the legal burden to have actually approved a variance in this case. So I recommend that Mr. Braden maybe see if he could move his property line out and resolve the whole variance thing where we wouldn't have to go through a setback variance. And he coordinated with adjacent property owner who actually thought that she had given this to the campground a long time ago. So all that worked out if we're able to do this. So
I'll just explain the situation. If you look at the drawing, the part you see where it says .004 acres, that's the existing C14. That's the whole lot. Where it says .01 acres, lot C14R, they're adding that part. So he's actually getting a lot more area. However, there's a series of variances, and I'm going to recommend that if you decide to grant a blanket variance covering all the items, one would be the setbacks. The second would be minimum lot size. Minimum lot size on sewer, which we're going to call this sewer, is 23,000 square feet. So this lot is much smaller. I think I put the actual size as 3,050 square feet. So it's 20,000 square feet less. The entire property is in the floodplain with no buildable area outside of the floodplain. And the right-of-way dedication on Carnes Road is only 10 feet off of center instead of the required 25. I will cover those one at a time. The highway department has no issues with the dedication. This is a old campground and of long standing, and they don't have any room to widen the road anyway. What did I mention? The minimum lot size is really not an issue because even in our previous set of regulations, and this plat actually predated those, we actually allowed for campsite developments with tiny lots like this. And they had communal sewer systems put in the ground or not, and bathhouses and so forth. And that's exactly what this place is. So that's not uncommon either. Setbacks, minimum lot size, and dedication, and buildable area outside of the floodplain can all be handled together. The only other time we've granted a variance for buildable area not having a buildable area outside of the floodplain is when it was all built that way to start with and they had no additional land. So following that, this would be in line with that previous situation that you've done, as I can recall, 3 or 4 different occasions. Having said that, I would recommend a blanket variance.
And it is an improvement on the site.
Yes.
That site could never meet current standards, so.
Yeah, and we'll need, the outstanding items are consideration of the variance request and signature plats with all owners and $20 per lot planning fee. And I still think we'll probably need to do a little research and determine who actually owns that lot to be given away.
Good.
And if I may, sir, and just for the applicant's benefit, we've talked about this several times, but we do still have some outstanding issues as far as being able to permit the structure that's been placed there. We have some flood certifications and some things like that need to be addressed. So, and I think he understands that. We've told him, we've talked about it a lot, haven't we, sir?
All right, any questions, comments?
So are we needing to approve this or just,
Yes,
okay.
with the variances. Commissioner McClone, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to nitpick, but if this building were to be destroyed, are we going to allow them to build it back in the same location, or going to have to?
If he asked for consideration of that, we would bring it back. Otherwise, it would at least have to meet setbacks. But these are reduced setbacks in the campgrounds.
And another nitpicky thing, is Carnes Road NES like on the map or like a title block NS?
No, it's just like it reads.
Which way?
I'm looking at it on the county map, it is CR.
Oh, I've got it right here.
Oh, CRA, I didn't see it, CRANES. Okay.
Any further comments?
Motion to approve the staff recommendation and completion of outstanding items.
Do I have a second? And a second. Any further discussion? Bruce, was there a correction that needed to be made on the plat?
We'll make it, we'll get it.
Okay. All right, motion to approve the plat with variances as described by Doug, and correction of the title block on the plat. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr.
Is
Chairman.
everybody familiar with Dark Island? You need to drive out there sometime if you haven't been out there, because it's
Unique.
a unique.
It is very good.
It's kind of like some of the lots that we have up on top of the world up there. Very tiny, but
And they're all elevated over your head.
they're all
Stilts.
elevated to get above the floodplain. So, all right. Long-range staff reports.
Nothing to report. I do, however, want to mention a couple of training opportunities, and I think Marlene has sent you all this. Plus, I think you have copies at your desk. One is next week. Your all session, if you decide you want to go, is March the 30th at 8:30 in the morning at the East Tennessee History Center. That is 2 hours of training. It's free. The next one is on April the 5th. Starts at 12 noon. Not sure how much credit we can get you for that. I think it just depends on the length of the session, but that may be a good one too, also in Knoxville. That's all, sir.
Thank you. Public input on items not on the agenda. I see all the hands out there. Please step to the mic. Give us your name. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.